Welcome back to the Yanzhou campaign. Last time we did a cheeky siege draw-out in order to capture Xuchang, the capital of the Cao clan. We then defended against a major invasion from the Liu clan that turned out to not be all that good, so we won quite easily in the end and went on to counter-attack, attacking Liu Bei's capital at Xiapi, killing Liu Bei himself in battle and eventually taking said capital. Finally, we've started an offensive against Guan Yu up at Changyang, which we'll be seeing more of later. We'll start off by clearing up a siege that we started last time, just a little one at the town of Chengshen. Nothing inside, so we ought to resolve it, and with a dramatic death sound we take this territory. Not a very good territory, but it is nearly at the population level needed to upgrade it to a large town, and after that it will become a good territory, so that's a little bit of a doer-upper. I sent a diplomat to make an alliance with Nanyang. This is the greyish faction to the west of the Cao territory. This is just generally continuing my policy of allying with everyone along our southern border, or what will soon be our southern border as well, presuming we eventually take the rest of the Cao territory, giving us a nice stable base of power here in the centre of the map. As for the Cao clan, I think they don't have much left. We see various small armies wandering around, but they're not going to be able to challenge our presence, especially in their capital, so it looks like we're safe, but we don't want to wait around before we attack them, since they will eventually build an army. It's the same deal against Liu Bei. I was able to get an army out of the capital at Xiapi, and had a choice about whether I go south or southeast. I'm going to go southeast because that town down there is more significant. It'll take us 2 turns to get there, but soon we'll be able to go and square that away with a nice superior force. We've also got this siege at Jianchun that's been going on for a while, and while we do have the advantage, I can't really be bothered to make the attack since it will be costly. There's lots of stuff on the inside and it's a walled settlement, so attacking will be dangerous. There's no rush, so I just end up leaving it. Back on the south front, I wanted to move the army that took Chengshen away as soon as possible, so that I could have it garrison Xuchang and then have the main force go somewhere else. This proved to be somewhat difficult because of public order. The locals want dynastic change, that's their quote-unquote religion, so they don't like my religion, which is factionism, or I guess just ignoring the emperor in general. So we have bad public order in all of the Cao territory, basically. The plan is a complete failure because my men can't even reach Xuchang this turn anyway, but I'd already decided I wanted to attack this turn, so I'm just going to do it anyway. This will leave Xuchang in a rioting state, but I'm just going to put up with it and see if we can get away with it, basically. And as you saw, I took my main army to besiege Guandu, which is where the most significant Cao force that we know about is currently stationed. In the Cao turn, we start seeing lots of smaller armies moving up to gather around Guandu and around our besieging force, but after a lot of movement and a lot of setting up, we don't see any battles triggered, which means the AI probably thinks something else is still going to arrive and they're waiting. We may wish to attack sooner rather than later then to prevent that from happening. There's the rioting that happened because of low public order, and it was actually really bad. They did serious damage to the city and killed many thousands of the inhabitants. It's going to take quite a while to recover from that, but at least we can garrison the town now and prevent any further rebellions. There was also an interesting message this turn. Apparently, we're at war with the Sun clan now, the big clan to the south. It seems to have started because they sent 2 boats to randomly besiege this port that wasn't doing anything. So there we have it, we're now at war with all 3 of the progenitors of the 3 kingdoms. Not sure why. The Sun clan don't border us or anything, but it seems they want to get involved and stop us from growing, so we might just have to punish them at some point. I go and get that siege going at Guanling, setting up all the siege equipment, and we learn that Zhang Fei, the other of Liu Bei's sworn brothers, is in here and another one of the heroes of the age. So now we've got both him and Guan Yu under siege. Going to chuck some yellow turbans into this force because they make good fodder for pushing the ram since they're so expendable. Now, we need to clear up this situation if we can around Zhang Liao. I decide to send men out from Xuchang, which does mean the place will once again be sent back into a state of poor public order, so this is a bit dangerous. And it doesn't actually achieve anything because, as we saw, all of the small armies I attacked ran away, but I always ended up still in another army's zone of control, so I couldn't do much other than attack more armies, and eventually I was out of movement points and no battle was triggered. I brought some reinforcements over to keep public order okay at Xuchang for now, and with the two armies we'll just have to leave them for this turn and see what the enemy do. They might coalesce all their small groups and actually challenge us, but we still do have lots of men here, so even a serious challenge wouldn't be too bad for us. Here's some good news. Hao Meng was finally able to escape Qingzhou's territory. They left a gap in their defensive wall of armies, and finally we're back out. I'm reinforcing him now with fresh troops from Puyang, our capital, heavy troops, armoured and very effective. Next turn we'll be ready to attack Guanyu by having him reinforce the army already laying siege there. In the next Cao turn, we see a resumption of the just flooding the area tactic, making it hard for us to move, but not achieving much else, and they don't initiate any battles once again. So here we are at the start of the next turn. In our relations report, it says that Qingzhou don't like us at the moment, the Sun clan don't either, but I guess that's to be expected. So maybe they found out about me trespassing again when Hao Meng escaped. This could be a problem because again they still have all these armies hovering on our border, threatening to invade us at any point, but hopefully they won't. We continue to hope. Now, since we have both Zhangfei and Guanyu under siege, and we're ready to attack Guanyu, I thought if we can attack Zhangfei in the same turn, we can at least allow them to fulfill their initial oath to die on the same day. They're supposed to die on the same day as Liu Bei, but they've missed that chance. But if we can kill both of these guys in this one turn, perhaps we can say it happened on simultaneous days, and we nicely allowed them to die according to their oath. This attack will be difficult because Zhangfei has a good army. Even though it's small, we have vastly superior numbers. Their troop quality and their walls give us only a small advantage on the balance bar. I attacked in two places. I made a small attack on the west gate, while the main attack goes for the north gate and north wall in general. The enemy do have some crossbows up on the gate to defend, and they did a lot of damage to these swords pushing the siege tower. The original plan was to have those crossbows fire at my distractionary yellow turban unit, but they wisely fired at the much higher value target, and the siege tower is really of no use because we're being fired at from the flank, so they might as well have just taken ladders. That would have been faster. The yellow turbans will be able to push the ram up to the gate. That's the one upside to all this, but yes, we're losing a much more valuable melee unit for later. Once the towers and the couple of other units with ladders are all in place, we begin our assault on the walls. The rams hammering away and our swords are going after those crossbowmen up there on the gate. I'm also using my archers to rain arrows on the unit standing behind the wall, but the wall is high, the angle's bad, and in general, archery attacks here are just ineffective. We're probably hitting our own men at the same time as well. There goes the gate. Now we'll have our way in for the cavalry, although right now the gate's full of spearmen, so we don't want to do anything. And there are the swords slowly working their way through those crossbows. Decided to charge in the yellow turbans to try and take on those halberd troops. And because there's heavy cavalry there, that's going to go terribly. Heavy cav are really good in melee, even just standing still, and yellow turbans are bottom tier units, so they're all going to die. At the west gate, we opened the gate with a ram, and then the enemy charged out with cavalry. That was great because I had my halberds here, so we just annihilated a cavalry unit. At the same time, I've got ladders just further down the wall that deployed crossbows and halberds onto the wall. The crossbowmen kind of messed up. I think it's because they're on skirmish mode while also being on the wall, and that's absolutely screwing everything up. But eventually, we are going to get a pretty good result there since the enemy don't have the troops to defend properly. In the North Gate assault, things aren't going very well since our yellow turbans got absolutely annihilated, as I hinted they would, and the troops then burst out of the gatehouse to attack our archers. We don't have any melee troops left out here, we've just got our cav, so we're going to be forced to use basically loads of light cav and archers against enemy heavy cav and spearmen. It's a pretty bad matchup, but we've got numbers on our side. The fight on the gatehouse was taking forever. Those crossbowmen didn't die very quickly, Also, I think the towers are still shooting my men at point blank range, giving us extra casualties. So here all I'm doing is trying to surround the heavy cav. As for the spearmen, I'm really not doing anything special. I just ploughed into them with my cavalry, and heavy cav are okay to bring down spearmen even though they're also weak against them, just because heavy cav are strong against everything. Stacked on top of the damage already done by the yellow turban attack earlier, we are able to get through those spearmen and rout them. As for the heavy cav, we defeated them just with loads of light cav. Sheer numbers was enough for us to grind them down to the very last guy. It's Zhang Fei. There he is, hacking away at our men while also being stabbed repeatedly from all directions. He's a sturdy guy, he can take it for a while, but looks like we're going to win that fight, and there we have it. With another of the legendary heroes killed, we can also celebrate that we've captured the centre of the city. Our attack through the western gate has been successful. These cav need to run away because the enemy very cheekily took some swordsmen out of the east gate and brought them around to outflank our northern group. Surprisingly good AI. You wouldn't expect the AI to do something so cheeky as that in the later games. It could have worked, but they arrived too late, and now we're going to be able to use our archers to shoot down the swordsmen. The cav just need to run away, and since the enemy's army's half dead, we see those swordsmen rout pretty soon. As they try to escape, the cav swarm back in. Goodbye to that unit, and the few men they had inside the city are routing as well, bringing the fight to an end. There we go. Pretty costly actually. We lost a couple of whole units on the way in, but the enemy did lose more men than us, so I guess that's something, and they lost Zhang Fei, one of the era's legendary warriors. We also, of course, get some territory out of the battle, can't forget about that. That's the bottom right edge of Liu Bei's empire captured. Now we'll want to focus on moving west to finish things off down here. Guanling's a pretty nice town because it has a building that allows us to do games. We can use that to sacrifice income to improve public order, which will allow us to move our army out a lot faster than usual since public order will be less of an issue. Anyway, now we need to move right on to the battle against Guan Yu so that we can satisfy the Peach Garden Oath and make sure they die at the same time. Balance bar looks good because Hao Meng is going to be reinforcing us from the other side of the city, but I'm going to have to give him to the AI, so it's going to be a hit or miss when it comes to doing anything useful for us. Just like in the last battle, I'm going to do one main attack and one small attack, the main one coming from the south, the smaller one from the west. As things start off, our archers can already fire at some of the enemies. The small wall means it's actually useful to stay back and kill enemies before we go in, so there'll be a bit of skirmishing. As for our reinforcements, well, they're just running away. Since the AI doesn't have a way inside the town, it just kind of goes crazy and starts running all over the place and generally achieving nothing. So, hit or miss, I guess it's always miss. Reinforcements, you're taking the piss, yeah. Off they go to do nothing. That will be until we open the gates, at which point the AI will realise it can pathfind towards the enemies and they'll come back to the fight much later on. You can optimise the skirmishing a bit in this situation by sending men around the edge of the wall to get a better line of sight so they're not trying to shoot right over the wall. But that takes time to actually do with all of your skirmishing units, and we're not going to bother here, just for the sake of speed. I'm sending the rams in even with the skirmishing mostly unfinished to just get this going. As the first gate is opened, the swordsmen behind it immediately charge out into the yellow turbans. Not such a bad idea since they can beat the yellow turbans, but all I need to do is order a few other units forward. In fact, I sent in the Yellow Turban Elites, the better version of the Yellow Turbans, to deal with that situation. The swordsmen routed, and as we chased them we captured the gatehouse. Very nice. Now these two Yellow Turban units are going to go to the left and right of the gate, because since we've set foot in the town, the AI is going to start reacting and sending other units to come and attack us here at the gatehouse, and we want that. We want the enemy to get closer, because we have all of these arrows left, so we might as well draw some units over and shoot them. This works as intended. We kill a load of guys, some of their county spears come over and do start a fight with my yellow turbans, but since I'm on both sides of the gatehouse I can come in and sandwich enemy units like this. These guys fought on for a long time, they had surprisingly good morale despite fighting while surrounded, and that's probably because Guan Yu is here and he is now charging into battle. I didn't look at that because I didn't want to see the damage. Instead, I'm directing my group coming in from the west to actually do something. They opened the gate, but then I forgot about them, so now we'll bring them in to engage some enemy horse archers hiding behind the wall. Back at the main fight, we've already lost a unit to Guan Yu, but we do now have loads of trash spears. We've got county militia and peasant volunteers or something, a mercenary spear unit that's not very good, fighting with Guan Yu. And while that's not going to be very good for our men, we'll lose loads of guys, it's a good trade in that their spear bonus will allow them to kill some of Guan Yu's guards. The attack from the west was bogged down because the enemy moved their archers to come and fight me in melee. They've also got some light cav in there, I think. All of that just became a big grind and I had to leave it since I couldn't do very much there. Guan Yu and his heavy cav are holding back the rest of our attack, but Guan Yu himself has now got a little bit separated off from the rest of the group, so if they rout, he'll be in trouble. He'll have to rout through a little bit of my unit. As it happens, they don't rout. He wouldn't really expect it from such a legendary warrior, but he does just get killed fighting with my halberdiers. There we have it then. All three of the sworn brothers have been killed, and the Liu clan is in very big trouble. The nearby spearmen rout upon this revelation, but they rout right through our men, so that's not going to go very well for them. I could now rear attack to help the western group, but Guan Yu's surviving bodyguards delayed us for a long time, and the enemy brought men from elsewhere in the town to reinforce, meaning there's still lots of men between us and the capture point, and a little bit more fight is in store. Hao Meng happens to be finally arriving, just strolling in through one of the gates we opened up earlier. Good to see him getting involved in the fight at some point, although to be fair, a lot of his troops would have been wasted since the streets are so narrow you can't attack with all that many units at once. Since the enemy had lots of units on the victory point, there's going to be a real grind. They can't rout there. We have to kill all of them to win the battle. That's going to take a while and cost our men many lives as well. But at this stage, there's not much else we can do. There might have been some argument for running away, I suppose, and trying to use our bowmen to take them down. But we're doing this the fast way. We just push through using the old school mass mechanics to take the victory point even as the fight was still going, since you can push the front line around using your numbers. And after a while, all of the enemy troops are dead, and Hao Meng's men even pushed to the front and actually got involved in the fight right at the very end, so he didn't contribute absolutely nothing. A nice victory, big losses as well, but still more losses for the enemy, nothing disastrous at all, and that's some more Liu clan territory taken, making our border look a bit nicer now. We've got this little enclave in the top right finally squared away. I'm now going to move Hao Meng to set up a watchtower looking out over Qingzhou, since we don't trust them at all. Now we can monitor their movements on this border a bit better, and they are going to be doing some movements worth monitoring actually, so that watchtower will come in useful. A lot of the Liu clan's army, or pretty much all of it, is down here at the Jianchun siege. I have just been leaving this for a while, and the enemy have been building up as if they wanted to sally and challenge me here, but they never quite did it. I noticed that the army to the south of the city is pretty much all archers. It's an army that's very weak against just being rushed down, so I thought maybe we can actually do that with our little backup force. I'm going to get Lu Han here to pick up some mercenaries and go into this fight, but the enemy ran away and ended up running to be next to the other army, so now it's much harder to attack them. That sucked. I think what I should have done in retrospect is only send rushing units and left behind everything that couldn't rush, like the heavy infantry and archers. Anyway, lesson for next time. Now I want to try and clear up this huge mess around Guandu. Loads of tiny armies for us to attack. We can do it, but just like last time, they keep retreating, but also leaving us in enemy zones of control, so we have to keep attacking. Finally, we get this engagement, where some reinforcements give the enemy confidence, but I can whip out a good old night attack to only fight the first group, and we get a very nice victory indeed. So that's a good start. Apparently that victory was so great that Song Shan is now a candidate for adoption to our clan. I thought fine, because the more family members the better in general. However, looking at the family tree, he's not on here. A couple of the other people I adopted aren't on here either. I'm not sure if they're being adopted under the guy who's like 1 year old, so we just can't see them or something. Not really sure. Anyway, I continued on, pushing eastward against these armies. This time, I, for some reason, can't do a night attack when a battle is initiated, and it seems I've also lost all my command points as well. for some reason being adopted has caused Song Shan to lose all of his abilities. Maybe he lost his retainers or something by doing that. So yes, he now sucks. He couldn't knight attack, but we just auto-resolved to a good result anyway. Annoyingly, I can't go back to Guandu. I was thinking of making the attack this turn, and I wanted the second army to support. But we can't right now, so we'll wait another turn. The Cao clan will still have a chance to try and do something against us. And here is their chance, in fact, it's their turn. More forces arrive from the west. They do control the Sishui Pass to the west and possibly something else further west of that. But they don't conduct any attacks against us. They just build up again, looking like they're going to, but it's not happening. We still have a turn to sneakily take Guandu, especially because their main army still isn't in reinforcement range of the city. The Liu clan don't have much to do, but Qingzhou have something on their mind. They send an army to besiege our capital of Puyang. That's not very good. Looks like the war is starting, and we're not especially prepared for it. Puyang may actually fall if they make a siege assault. We're going to be losing money while it's under siege as well. Plus, more attacks are coming in the east, where most of the enemy's strength is concentrated. A siege has started at Chengyang, and 2 stacks nearby are going to team up to attack Hao Meng. They've still got a 3rd stack in reserve as well. This is the sort of battle where you would just retreat, since we don't want to face both of these armies at once, but because Hao Meng already moved too much, he can't retreat. That means we now face a very bad looking battle, 2 armies that are individually better than our army, but at the same time they don't have the unit cap thing, so we have to fight all of them at once. That's looking nasty, as is the war in general. We'll see what we can do next time.